Welcome back to the Wizard Shop. You guys have seen this really sweet Volkswagen Beetle in the background, and I know you guys have been wanting to check this one out. We're going to talk about this car and CV shafts today. Let's get started.
That's not a Volkswagen.
Oh, well, it kind of looks like one, and it's kind of I guess it's not a Volkswagen. No, guys, it's a 1995 Porsche 993 911 Carrera. It has 272 horsepower and 243 pounds of torque, which that in itself is not tons of power, but it's such a small, light car that's actually very fun to drive. We'll take a look around the car, look at the interior, check out the really cool engine in the back, like a Volkswagen. And then we're going to talk about CV shafts. That's why this car is here, for CV shafts, and also we repaired a brake pad wear sensor that was causing a lot of grief.
Well, Wizard, it's nice that it's up in the air. It makes it easy to film up here.
Kind of like a Porsche Cayenne.
Kind of.
Except this one's glass. No plastic garbage crap on here. Nice glass. That will stay nice and crystal clear for a very, very long time. I wish they would continue to do that. This one's been ceramic coated. The paint is in really good shape. The owner is Bill. You guys have seen Bill before. He has the Triumph TR8. He had the Datsun 240Z that only had 9,000 or 10,000 miles on it. Those are in previous videos. You guys should really watch those if you haven't. And also this is his 993. It's got the really sweet Porsche wheels. These are not the twist wheels. They're just straight 5 spokes. You'll notice that the rear is apart. The wheels are off because we have the CV shafts out. We're going to talk about that here in a minute. Those weren't too hard to get out. You just have to undo some of the upper control arms and get everything just right, and they come out through this way, not out this way. And we'll raise it up and take a look at that here in a minute. But go ahead and go around to the back. Has the iconic Porsche Carrera right there. It says Porsche there. Very beautiful rear end of a car. No scratches, no dents. Bill takes very good care of his cars. He actually does a lot of work himself if he can, but when it gets to be where he's pulling his hair out or it's literally dangerous for him to try to get into the car, he's happy to bring it here to the Car Wizard and get it taken care of.
You mean he doesn't want to look like you and be bald?
No, I don't think he does. Again, there's not much to see as far as looking for scratches or dents because this thing is really in good shape. Being this on the lift, we're not going to really sit in it, but we'll take a look at the interior. As you can see, it has roughly 62,000 miles on it. It runs and drives perfectly fine, no serious issues. The interior is very nice on this one. The seats are in good shape. These are some of the most comfortable seats that I've ever sat in, is the Porsche seats, whether it be a 996, a 993, a Boxster. They really make comfortable, nice seats. And the rear seats are really not rear seats at all. Even though they're flipped down at the moment, there actually are seats back there, but I wouldn't want to sit there. But yes, the interior is very nice on this car. Let's open the rear hatch and take a look at the Volkswagen engine. These are the last of the air-cooled engines. You can see the little fan blade there. Fan blades, I should say. There's our AC compressor. These aren't awfully hard to work on, they're just very compact. It can be difficult to get to certain things, but they're really not too bad. There's our distributor. We still have a distributor. This is getting towards the end of the years of distributors, and we move on to coil-on plugs after this series or model. Here's our intake manifold with the plenum, which has kind of an H shape, and there's our throttle body that goes between the two. There's an airflow sensor, there's an intake air temperature sensor, there's an idle control motor. A lot of little things in this area for induction. Here's where we check our oil. Here's where we fill our oil. This is a dry sump system. These are not hard to do oil changes on, you just kind of have to know what you're doing. As you can see, it's in very good shape. It runs great. Let's go ahead and lift the car up and look underneath. So being that it's air cooled, it doesn't really have a radiator here. It does have some coolers on the side here. It can be the condenser for the AC. You can see deep inside of there. Air kind of goes through and around to the side. There's another one over there. Right in here would be the frunk or spare tire or whatnot inside of there. Everything's covered up with panels, so there's not much to see, but we'll go ahead and check his front brakes. They look good. He actually just did the brakes and he put all new wear sensors, and he could not get the warning light to go off on the dash. He fought with it and fought with it. And finally he got so mad, he was like, I'm taking this to the car wizard because I'm going to punch a hole in the wall. But let's take a look over here and find out why was his warning light staying on all the time. So here we have the wiring that goes to the wear sensor on the passenger side. And we repaired it and put nice heat shrink tubing and covered it all up, but there was damage here. This was undone right here, this little plastic clip, and the whole harness was rubbing against the wheel. And rubbed kind of through the insulation and shorted out some of the wiring, or cut it. I guess I should say it cut the wiring. We were able to repair it, put it back together, and now his warning light goes off perfectly fine. Okay, and we'll check the pads here. I really don't need to because they're brand new, but we'll check. Nothing's loose, so that's good. We'll move on back. There's all kinds of air conditioning line and oil cooler hoses and things that go through here. We can see it's a long tunnel through there. So there's a lot of things missing here, parts and pieces that were needed to come off to get the CV shafts out. They're currently out of the vehicle because the boots were torn and it had got contaminated on one of the joints on each side. Rather than replace the shafts, we were able to rebuild them, and we're going to talk about that. I've got a table with the shaft set up over there, and we're going to talk about when is it time to replace the shaft versus rebuild it. Let's head on over to the table. So here we have the CV shafts out of this 993. This one has been rebuilt and put back together. I did this one myself, and it's ready to go back in. But I'm going to show you guys what's involved in taking these apart, and also when it's time to rebuild one versus just throw it in the trash and get a new one. Bill supplied these parts for these, and he looked it up, and depending on which site he used, they were anywhere between $500 and $1,000 per shaft. We can rebuild both of these for half of that. So it makes sense on this car to pull the shafts out and take care of rebuilding them or restoring them or whatever it needs. Now I mentioned that the boots were torn, and I'll show you here. Anywhere you can drive, anywhere you could get sand, contaminants, salt, dirt has gotten into these joints, and we definitely don't want to keep using them. These are the ones that were torn here on these joints. So all there is a small circlip, and this entire assembly comes off. You take all the little clamps, these are little, almost like hose clamps, that takes the boots off. And once you get this all apart, you can also remove the boot on this end and pull it all the way through. Put a new boot on, another new boot, a brand new joint. It goes on with the new boot and everything, and it also comes with new caps that go on the end. It also comes with brand new grease. We can have this all back together way cheaper than trying to buy new axles. So as you can see, this is what it looks like when it's all back together. This new joint is right here, and it's got the cap on it. You have to put grease in here and service this with all new grease before you put the caps on. But you'll have the boot already slid onto the shaft. You slide it on, and it comes with new clamps. You can see here. Our outboard joints were not compromised, but these inboard ones were. So we've got brand new joints, brand new boots, and as you can see, the boot that was originally on this one right here was completely severed in two. The grease had slung everywhere, and sand and dirt were all in the messy, nasty joint here. Yuck, yuck, yuck. You can hear the sand. Gross, gross, gross. Do you need any balls, Mrs. Wizard?
Ooh, those are a little slimy.
Yeah, gross. So that's what's inside of a CV shaft, is just the joint. The little balls actually allow it to flex and move. So we got a new joint, new boots, go back together, and totally solve. Now, if this was a Dodge Caravan, and the customer said, hey, one of my boots are torn, can you pull the CV shaft out and rebuild it? I would say that's pretty dumb, because let me show you why. So this is a 2002 Dodge Grand Caravan, and the same scenario, Car Wizard, I have a split boot. Can you rebuild my CV shafts? And again, I'm going to say that's a fool's errand, because if I rebuild them, it will cost double what it will cost just to throw the old ones in the trash and get new ones. Let's take a look here. So as you can see here, has different levels or different rebuilds, brand new CV shafts. $42.59 for a complete assembly. The entire shaft, guys. I can't even get the parts, the boots and everything for that cost. So in this scenario, I would say, no, I'm not going to rebuild your CV shafts. I'm going to throw them out in the scrap pile, and you're going to get complete all new assemblies. I've actually had arguments with customers. They're like, but I don't need the whole assembly. And finally, when it comes down to dollars and cents, I say, okay, I'll rebuild yours for you. It will cost double. And I show them the parts, the boots, the joint kit, the labor to pull this stuff apart, put it all back together. And then they're like, oh, no, I don't want to pay that. I'm like, I know you don't want to pay that. That's why I said we're going to take this one and throw it away and get a new one and put it on. Now that is not the case on this Porsche. This is a strange scenario where I can rebuild them for half the cost of a new one. It really depends on the application. It really depends on the vehicle you're working on.
Okay, Wizard. But not everybody is under their car like we are every other day shooting videos. How do they know if they've got torn boots and it's causing damage?
Well, if you have a front-wheel drive and you go to take a sharp turn and you're kind of giving it a little gas around a turn, you can hear click, 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 click. That's probably your CV shaft. It might be time for new shafts, but as far as appearance, looking for cracked boots or torn boots, you really need to have it on a lift, or if you're a do-it-yourself mechanic, jack it up and crawl under and inspect the boots. But the next time it's in for an oil change service, say, hey, could you check my CV boots, make sure they're not torn or anything going on that way. And that's a way to know it's time to get this job done. And then you'll have the same scenario, replace versus repair. Like I said, it depends on the vehicle. If Bill was to just replace these with the labor to remove them and replace them, plus the cost of them, could easily be $2,500, $3,000, depending on where he would buy these from. We'll be able to do this whole job rebuilding these shafts for under $1,000. Way cheaper than just replacing them. So be careful when you call a shop and say, just do this or just do that. Make sure you look at the alternatives. What is it going to cost for replace? What is it going to cost for repair? And then make your decisions that way. Here we are at the back again, just showing you guys where it actually goes. Here's the flange. You can see I can turn it with my hand there. That's where the shiny metal cap I showed, the new joint we replaced, actually bolts directly on right there. And the shaft runs all the way out through this little hole to right here where you can see the light. See the splines in there, guys? That's where the other end of the shaft goes in. And it's just like that on both sides. So there's grease splattered all through here. We're going to get it all cleaned up because the boots were torn. You can see it's all greasy and gummy all through here from the boots being torn. Any more these days on vehicles, it really comes down to, do I replace it? Do I repair it? I really don't want to gouge my customers, but there are shops out there that will totally gouge you. If you demand to take the most expensive route, they won't tell you there's the cheaper route. They'll just say, hey, okay, let's do it. And completely take your money. Give me that money, they'll say. So make sure you research those things. You can actually look on Google and check those things out yourself. What is it cheaper on this car to replace or rebuild this part? Also be careful when you're ordering things online. Shipping and everything is kind of a crapshoot anymore, no matter which company you use. I've been finding that a lot lately. But one thing to really watch is you see the parts you need, you click order, and you say, okay, in a couple days I'll have my part. Then you get an email after you order it that says, we don't have those in stock. We haven't had them in stock for over a year now. It's going to be another 3 months before we have it. It's like, why didn't it say that when I ordered it? And sometimes they'll say, well, but you do have a more expensive item. No. We'll try a different place. So be careful with that. There are times when I find the parts that I need, and I'm about to click the button, and I'm like, nope. I'm going to call these people. And I call them and say, I need this part and I need this part. And they say, oh, we actually don't have those. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of what I thought. You don't actually even have the parts. What they list online are things that they could stock or that they can get a hold of. That doesn't mean they actually have any. I have run into that so many times where people will get a car in here and they'll say, hey, I supplied the parts. I'll take care of all that for you. We get the car apart and then I get a call, hey, they said they don't even have the parts. It's going to be 2 weeks. It happens so much, guys. Make sure you check that out before you get your car apart in your garage and then go click and order the parts. Call them first. Because when they say, well, we don't actually have the part, you can go, click, I'll find somebody else. So thanks for following along on the Volkswagen Beetle. 911. 993. Sorry. It's not a Beetle, guys. It's not. I know it's not. But if you're curious what kind of tools we use to do this job, check my Amazon affiliates link in the description below. All the tools I use in the shop to help myself not get high blood pressure or pull my hair out is listed there for sale. We get a small cut and appreciate it. And make sure you hit the subscribe button. We got many cool videos to come. Thanks for watching.